Hi there, it's Nicole here today with some Snowman shaker ornament tags for the 12 designers of Christmas event at Honeybee Stamps. I am just in love with both the ornament tag die collection, which is what I'm using here today. There's also the ornament cards rather, and also the ornament tags. So they're two different sizes, same dies. This is the bigger die set, which is fantastic if you want to create a big size card or tag. From the solid die, I have die cut a clear plastic piece. This is from some embossable plastic plus the back of the tag. From the frame piece, I've die cut 2 fun foam ornament frames plus the frame for the front of the card. You can see the 2 layers of fun foam are going to pop this up enough so that the shaker material inside will move around. If you don't pop it up, you're going to need to use either less shaker material or something pretty flat because it's not going to move. I'm a big fan of using fun foam or cardstock to build up the shaker as opposed to foam tape because it looks a lot neater. I also die cut the tag toppers from the glitter cardstock, and then I showed briefly I die cut the snowy border. From that inside piece that I die cut from the frame, I die cut that with a Hills border die to create the snowy border that's going to go on the front of the shaker. My favorite thing to do with any kind of shaker is to have the elements not only inside the shaker, but on the shaker window and on the front of the shaker. It gives this illusion of dimension. We're going to start by doing a little stamping here. We're going to stamp the back of these because I have designed them to be used as gift tags that can either be hung as an ornament afterwards or used as some other kind of decor. But you could definitely just pop this onto the front of a card if you don't want to do a tag. But since I'm using it as a tag, I am stamping some sentiments on the back from the Let It Snow stamp set. This is probably one of my all-time favorite Honeybee stamp sets. I love the little snowman in it. I think he's so super cute. I've stamped the word Christmas from this with red ink, and then I'm going to clean that off, position the word Merry and then the phrase from our family to yours above and below the word Christmas, and stamp these with black ink. And I didn't stamp them all at once because I like to get mine nice and cozy together, and they're not going to fit or overlap just that little bit if you try to stamp all 3 at the same time. Plus, it would be very hard to get a two-tone effect like I'm doing here. So I have done this on both backgrounds. Again, this is the back of the shaker, the back of the card. On the other side of this same panel, we will be inking it up later to create the blue sky that will create a contrast for all of the elements going on the shaker window as well as in front of the shaker or on the front of the shaker. Now I'm going to stamp another sentiment phrase. This one is from the Flakey Sentiments stamp set, but this one's going to go on the shaker window itself. Now, it's really hard to guess how to design and shape this sentiment. You can see how much trouble I'm having getting that to go around the edge. So I have come up with this little trick that really works well for me, and the Tim Holtz stamp platform is amazing for doing this because the cover pops off. So I'm going to pull up the cover, pop it off, and I'm going to take that frame die that I used to die cut the frame, and I'm going to tape this in place right on that panel. Again, I'm going to just pop this out. The cover pops out of the machine. So let me fix my stuff all pulled up just a little bit. So I'm going to fix it real quick. And yep, that still looks good. So here I've popped it off. I am going to then flip it over and gently curve this long phrase to fit within that die shape. See how easy that was? It only took seconds instead of second guessing myself constantly and adjusting and fixing and just simply messing with it. This is going to work perfectly. I'm going to then stamp this phrase with cotton white Stazon ink. This is my favorite for shaker windows. We're going to do this on both. I do have that little piece of film back behind that one, so it makes it a little hard to see. Maybe I'll hold my hand behind it there. It's actually clear. I love stamping on clear with white ink. I think it's amazing. This little piece of paper just really protects the plastic so it doesn't get all smudged and scratched up while I'm working with it. So again, I have my greeting still there. I'm going to stamp that again on the second window. You can do this for as many cards as you're making. I definitely recommend assembly line style creating. Then I am going to remove my frame. I am going to clean up that greeting with some Stazon or Ultra Clean ink cleaner, put that away, and using some acrylic blocks because I'm going to be stamping these multiple times, I am going to start inking up snowflakes and little snow clusters from the Let It Snow stamp set all over kind of the upper portion of this background. It's going to give the illusion of falling snow and adds another layer to this scene. When I'm scene building, I always like to think of layers. A shaker tag that is a scene is no different. The only thing is that when it is a shaker, whether it be a card or a tag, there actually is that dimension. And so it's super easy to kind of play with those layers and get some really fantastic results. So I'm going to again do this for the second one now. I think it's a little easier to see without that little paper film behind it. So I'm not going to use it this time so you can really see the stamping of all these little snowflake clusters, the individual snowflakes, just filling in all over the place. Again, as soon as I'm done stamping, I like to clean up my stamps with Ultra Clean Cleaner. I just kind of rub it. I have the one with the little foam top. I like to clean the top of my, or the stamp itself, rub it with a brush pad, a scrubber pad rather, and then I wipe it clean with a chamois or a baby wipe or something like that. Next, it's time to stamp the elements that are going to go on the front of the card. This is going to be the tree and the gift packages from More Flakey Friends. Flakey Friends and More Flakey Friends are some of my very favorites from Honeybee as well. Something I use a lot, have used this season, but the great thing about stamps is you can reinvent them so many times. I just love all of these little critters and animals and snowmen, the trees, and all of these little pieces. I am repeatedly stamping these images. I want to get a nice bold black outline. I'm going to need multiple trees, multiple gifts. I even stamped some birds. You can see all of that here. And I'm going to just do quick coloring since this is a fairly long video as it is. And I've sped it up. There's a lot of repetition. So instead of coloring all of the trees on camera, in fact, I had to stamp one additional tree. Each shaker requires 3 trees, but the coloring is super fast, I promise. I'm going to just color one and then do the rest off camera just to save a little time. I did color both snowmen because they're just so simple. A little red for the red and black scarf, orange for the nose, a little pink for the cheeks, and some very, very light blues to outline him. A little colorless blender to blend that out so there's no harsh lines, but otherwise super, super simple. Here is the tree. 3 colors of green is all I'm using. Messy, messy feathering coloring here, but it looks so much better once you get all those layers in place. I'm going to just add all of these little details. I'm going back with my mid-tone. I did my lightest, my darkest, went in with the mid-tone, and now I'm going to go back with the light and fill in any of those little areas that are just way too white. I don't mind a little white. It helps with the illusion of snow. I am going to go over it with a white pen later, but it just really does not work to have too much. A little brown for the tree trunk with E55 and E57. And then the bird is all going to be in shades of blue. I've used several blues, some for the snow, some for the bird, and also some for the gift package. Super easy, quick coloring for this as well. Some red and blue for the gift packages. I kind of got lazy. I just really didn't want to pick any additional colors. I felt like it would distract from the overall look of my card. So I kept it pretty simple and used the reds that I'd already used for the scarf in the snowman and the blues I'd used throughout the design. And I liked this a lot better. Or a lot. I guess I should say I didn't really try anything else, so maybe I would have liked something better. I don't know. But I like the bold red and then the little bit of blue. I'm going to color all those, die cut those with the Let It Snow and More Flaky Friends dies. And then on the back side, this is where we stamped the greeting that's on the back of the shaker. This is the other side of that same piece of paper. I'm adding Broken China and Faded Jeans Distress Oxide inks. I have sped this up because it's just simply blending these two colors together for a blue sky. If I left it white, the white stamping on the front of the shaker would really get lost. You would lose the greeting, you'd lose the snowflakes, so you need a little something to contrast. The trees are going to be back there, but I think the blue sky really helps. So I'm going to do this for both of the ornament backers. Distress Oxides are much more forgiving on a regular white cardstock. This is Nina's Smooth White cardstock. I would definitely probably not do this with Distress inks because I would get a more blotchy look. Now that I have this, I'm just going to run a thin line of glue all the way around the edges and start layering. So you can kind of see there's the stamped greeting on the back, but on this side we are stacking 2 layers of the Fun Foam die cut frames. And I'm sorry I got so close to the camera, it kind of blew it out a little bit. I did not notice that while I was doing it. So there are 2 layers. I'm going to put something heavy on those so that it dries a little bit. Something to note, I used Ranger Multi-Matte Medium to do this, but because I thought it was going to be better than Glossy Accents. I had to switch to Glossy Accents partway through. I didn't think that the Multi-Matte Medium was drying as quickly, which it didn't. And things were shifting and moving around, and so I switched to Glossy Accents. It dried a lot faster, and really I didn't have the same trouble that I was having. So it's just probably a personal preference, whatever you want to use there, just some nice secure glue. On the back of the frame for the front of the shaker, I'm going to pop that clear piece. Again, just putting something heavy on top to hold that in place while the glue completely dries. And then I can start assembling the front of each frame. I'm going to tuck the little snow border, that's a little inlay piece right there, and then tuck the snowman standing behind that. Make sure and secure him with some nice strong adhesive. I'm using the Glue Glider Pro Permatack adhesive. And then on the inside, we want to layer some trees. 2 trees over on the right and 1 over on the left. Now, I find the best way to do this, especially for a shaker. I don't want that little bump in the layer if I were to tuck this underneath one of the Fun Foam layers, because inevitably stuff escapes. So I like everything to stay on the inside of the shaker. So what I do is I figure out where the image that's going to be cut off that goes along that edge is, and I run it through the die cutting machine with the die. In this case, the ornament die. It's going to give me that curved edge, and I simply just kind of fit puzzle piece it type back in place, and this works so much better. I do not have to worry about tucking it underneath a layer. It doesn't create any funny looking edges from the side view. So easy. I'm going to take a white pin then and add some little, normally I call these highlights for other cards. For this card, I'm calling a little snow detail. I think it helps give the illusion that the trees have a little bit of snow on them. Really messy. I was not precise with this at all. Just giving each of the trees a little bit of white, touches of white here and there, and checking to see if it's going to show, and then going ahead and filling in more. I'm a big fan of, if it's not going to show up anyway and it's going to be covered up, of not wasting my time doing it. So I'm just double checking with the snowman to see if I've missed anywhere. So here is the tree for the left side. Same thing, we're going to figure out where it goes, tape that in place, and run it through the die cutting machine. And I kind of bumped it, so I'm going to fix that. And then attach that on the inside of the shaker. So though the trees are on the inside, it's inked on the inside, the bird's going to be sitting on the front with the snowman and the packages. The only thing that is on the inside of the shaker is the 3 trees, the inked background, and then we're going to add some snow pieces with some honeybee sequins in clear bubbles and bokeh lights. Both of them are clear. One kind of has a little circle cut out. I call it a donut shape. And the other one is a flat sequin with no hole at all. Both of them are that sparkling clear kind of look that I personally really like, because I think it doesn't take away from the design. And in this case, I want something to be kind of reminiscent of falling snow. So there are those. I like those little flat ones. I think they kind of have a mirrored look. And I lost some of them out of my little shaker. And here's kind of what it's going to look like. Once I have that figured out exactly where, make sure it looks full enough and all of that, I'm going to draw a little line of glue around the edge and glue the frame onto the shaker tag. So just a nice thin line of glue all the way around. Not too much, because you don't want any glue kind of squishing out from underneath. That is never a good look. If some does, you want to make sure and kind of smooth it with your finger before it dries so it doesn't dry in a glob. And that way it just kind of helps secure the side of your shaker. Again, I like to use my acrylic blocks. They're nice and heavy to hold that down while it dries. I'm going to do that for both of the tags, and then I'm simply finishing with a little silver twine, a little hanger on the top. I'm going to tie some extra down here near the base. I've glued the glitter toppers to each on the front and back to make sure it has a really finished look. This is a nice little silver bow. Sparkly, matches the tag toppers, and is so super cute and fun. Little glossy accents for the carrot nose on each of these is the last thing I did to finish off these snowman shaker tag ornaments. Perfect to tie to some larger gift packages for the holiday season, and then the recipient can use them afterwards as ornaments or decor. Thanks for joining me today for the 12 Designers of Christmas event here at Honeybee Stamps. The supplies I used to create these tags are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Please be sure to check out the entire 12 Designers of Christmas event on the Honeybee Stamps blog. So much amazing inspiration. I know you're going to love it. Thanks for joining me today, and we'll catch you next time.